Hey everyone, the new update of Functions Turtles is out, and it brings a few more new ways to deal with custom parameters and shortcuts and parameters in general. So let's get into it. We already have with the toolkit a few more new ways to promote parameters to the parent. So for example, I can drag a parameter onto this diamond button, or I can drag a parameter onto up here and so on. And that's all fine and dandy, but what if we want something more easy? So I can just hover over a parameter, for example, and hit Alt X. This will promote it as a bind, or I can hold Alt Shift X over a parameter, and then this will be an expression. And if I do Alt X once again over this parameter, it will open the parent customization for that parameter. If I do the same with the other parameter, I do Alt Shift X, so it stays as an expression. It jumps to that parameter. So this really makes it much more easy to promote parameters. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work with parameter groups, and it's due to the lack of support for hovered parameter groups. But for single parameters, this will work beautifully, as you can see here. All right, so that's the first thing. Also, if let's open the parent parameters. If I want to customize now one of the parents, and I'm maybe somewhere else, or maybe I'm just outside here, I can hit Alt and backslash. So that will also open the component editor for that parameter. So as you can see, it jumps to that parameter also, which is a great improvement. This also works if you have multiple pages. I'm just gonna add something here. So if I hit Alt backslash, which doesn't really show up on this thing here, I don't think, then it jumps to that page and that parameter also in the component editor. So that is really cool. What if we wanted to change between a bind and an expression? This is something I find myself doing occasionally. I do Control Alt backslash, and that toggles between those two. There's some cool new updates to the navigation bar or the path bar here. So if I middle click on one of the parents here, if I short middle click, then it opens the parent parameters for that, or the parent parameters for that component. So this works for whichever depth. Like I can just go deeper and deeper, and this will work. And if I long middle click, if I hold it down, we see a little fancy animation happen, and it opens the component editor for that component, just like that, easy as. There's also a cool update to the parent hierarchy, and this is previously you could hover over one of these parents, and then it would show you the parent shortcut and some other information. Now you have to hold actually Alt to see that, and it also has some fancy coloring and so on. So that's great. I could add also where am I using right click? I can just middle click. I can add the global shortcut. That will also show up here. And if I hit Control now, let's do it for the other one. If I hit Control now, it will also show the parent parameters, or the parameters for that comp. And now if I right click on one of these parameters, again we will get the component editor. So now we have a lot of ways to edit parameters and components and so on. I can also just hold Control and hover over one of these, so this stays open. If I left click, what happens is I get a shortcut to my clipboard. Here it says copy to clipboard parent.face. So I can just paste this somewhere, and I don't know. I don't know. This doesn't do anything, but you get the idea. Similarly to IOPs, if I wanted to do like a select for an IOP, I could just paste it there, or get the other one. So this is a very quick way to grab references to parent parameters or IOPs, parent shortcuts, or even global shortcuts, as you can see here. Also, if I right click on one of the shortcuts here, it opens up the parameters for that. So for IOPs, this can be pretty useful. I can right click on Edge, which is now an IOP, and I get the same thing as here. So this could be useful in many ways. If you don't have a 3-button mouse, for example, you're working on a laptop, you could hold Alt and right click. So that's also considered a middle click. So I can similarly do, that's interesting, similarly do the action of opening the parent parameters or the component editor with right click, Alt right click, that is. But I think we should just be sticking to using a mouse. I'm really proud of this animation that I built for the long click, by the way. You can see it there. Wow, nice. And last but not least, there's a new expression hot string, like a special expression hot string. Let me add a parameter to this thing. Let's just call it float. I guess we already have one, so let's call it float2. Now I want to reference that parameter. I already have many ways to do that. For example, I can just click on this, paste it here. That's already a parent shortcut, so that's beautiful. But what if I just want to write parent dot, and now I don't know what my parent shortcut is. Of course, I can look at it. I can hover over this, hit Alt, and now I know it's parent.face. But what if I don't want to do that and I forgot? So hashtag exclamation mark will give you the nearest parent shortcut. And so that I can write, for example, hashtag exclamation mark dot par dot float2. I could do that. Or there's another shorthand, which is hashtag exclamation mark, and then I can just type float2. So this will already resolve correctly. So hashtag exclamation mark float2, like this. It looks a bit weird, but I'm already using it and I like it. So yeah, this will resolve to the nearest parent shortcut. And I think that's all I wanted to say. There's a few other small fixes and stuff, but those are not so interesting. Yeah, I hope you like this update. I worked a lot on it, and I really enjoy this update. There's a lot of cool things going on. So yeah, hope I will catch you using these out in the world, out in the real world. And thanks for supporting, if you're supporting or just using the toolbar. That's already great. And see you around.